Hello, Josiah from Quadratic here. Today on the shelf we've got the KingKong Fly Egg 100, and I really like the look of the frame of this. It seems sort of an upgraded version slightly to the 90 GT, which was really good, and I really enjoyed that. And KingKong, you know, they do produce quite a lot of quality stuff, so I'm looking forward to testing this out. Okay, so here it is, and before I talk about the quad itself, I just want to go over a little bit of what comes with it in the box. So there is, of course, the quad. You'll see we've got our own label branded box Fly Egg. This seems to me like this is just the Tiny 6 and Tiny 7 case that KingKong released, and they just whacked this sticker on the top, but I don't blame him for that. And then it tells us what receiver we've got as well, and a little bit of information about the quad, which is a nice touch, although I can't see the KingKong branding on here anywhere, especially not, there's no logo or anything here, which is a bit weird. But anyway, carrying on, this is what we get in the box. We get a little instruction manual for the receiver of your choice, which is nice because KingKong always like to go that little bit extra step and just provide everything you need. So depending on what receiver you get, you'll get a little setup instruction manual booklet for it, and that's a nice touch. Then of course we've got battery straps, prop sort of wiggler, I don't know what you call it, a prop spanner maybe, and then we've also got this frequency chart that tells us for our VTX on here what the LED combinations mean and what frequency that relates to, because this is, as it says on here, a 16 channel 5.8 gigahertz micro VTX. We've also got some prop guards. I'm not going to add these on because they're just going to be a bit of extra weight, but if you're going to be flying outside, maybe after a little bit of rain or something, might put these on and stop getting mud inside those motors and grass as well, but I'm not going to use those for now. And of course, if you do want to fly indoors with this, you can put on these nice propeller guards, which will stop the props from hitting anything in your room, and also protect those props as well if you do have any crashes. So we've got 4 of those in there. We also have some spare props. These were bagged up, but I took them out the bag. These are the same size as these, just white, so a different colour. I'd suggest, well, I'm going to possibly try this on 4 prop blades, 4 bladed props at a later date, maybe get a bit more power out of it. We've also got the camera lens attachment there, and of course the battery, which is a 350 milliamp hour. Now this is only 2C, and you'll be able to see on here, we've got a little notification as well that I didn't expect to see. Because the kV of the motors is too high, suggest using a 2S battery. Sorry, I meant 2S, not 2C on here. 35C and 2S. So yeah, it's suggesting just using 7.4 volts on this. I will possibly try it with 3S, because depending on how well it performs on 2S, I might want to get a bit of extra power in there and try it on the 3S. So we'll have to see how that handles. And we've also got a very nice, quite large, I can't fit it all in the screen, instruction manual. This is in Chinese on the back and English on the front, so it tells us the setup for the 100, and you can also get this a little bit bigger in a 130 size that could probably carry a micro HD cam, so if you want to get a little bit bigger one, then go ahead and get the 130. It tells us the VTX setup, how to do all that, and then the FC and ESC as well, and we can also change the camera angle. It's telling us how to do that here, and even the motor direction, which is a nice touch. So KingKong really going all out here, and then putting on how to update our Betaflight firmware, even though it becomes flashed with the latest Betaflight. Well, probably not the very latest Betaflight now, but it does come flash Betaflight at least, so it's just telling you how to upgrade that. And another great thing I like is the quality control from KingKong, because we can see on here on the back, even though it is in Chinese, there is one in English, but they've not filled it out. Obviously they've just filled out the Chinese one, but we can see it's basically a quality control test saying that when it left the factory it passed all these specs. So I'll zoom in on that a little bit and you'll be able to see what they're testing it for. So we've got the flight test. They've not tested it with a transmitter, although it did come included with one. So it's basically flying, the camera is working on the VTX, and then we've got everything in the package. Although for some reason they've not ticked the transmitter. I don't know why, because I have ordered the one with the XM transmitter for FR Sky, and then it's been signed off. So we have got nice quality control here, probably a lot better than others, the likes of eSheen and things. And they also tell us that we can provide free reparation service, free repair service if it defects after purchase, and you can also pay them if you want to get it operating as well if you've broken it. And then there's something about China customers there. So really, really good from KingKong there. We've got a lot of in-depth stuff, and I like to see that. I like to see that quality control check as well, because a lot of times, if you're getting sort of the cheaper Chinese brands, they'll come with very bad quality control, and sometimes you get things that don't work. Sometimes you get ESCs that are already blown out of the box. So that is a very nice touch from KingKong. Anyway, onto the quad itself, and what I really like about this mini quad is that it actually looks like a quad, but mini size. You'll be able to see it looks pretty much exactly just a lot smaller than my Leopard frame that I've done a recent build off. So that's really nice, because a lot of the time we get sort of just a very cheap sort of plasticky shell that you would never see on a normal full-size quad. But we've got some nice aluminium protectors, and these worked amazingly well on the Leopard, so I'm hoping they're going to work just as well on this as well, and really protect all the stuff that's in there. And it is, yeah, it's a nice frame. We've got a pretty thick carbon base here. This is a full carbon fiber plate, not detachable arms, so you will be able to just buy one this yourself. Although, however, I am just noticing as I've turned it over for the first time, we only have 2 screws in here for some reason. I'm not sure why they haven't included these 2 as well. But anyway, let's go over the specs. So you can purchase this, like I mentioned, with the choice of different receivers. I've gone for the XM receiver, which is FR Sky, and that is underneath the bottom here. Of course, it's a tiny micro one. A quick word, when you're setting this up, I tried to do it on D8 for a while, but it's actually D16. You want it on 16 channel mode, and then the boot pin is here, so that you can hold that down when you're connecting to your transmitter. And then there's just the little wire poking out here. I might attach that onto the arm a little bit, because it looks like it could go up into the props, but that's not a problem for now. We've also got a buzzer on the bottom here. You'll see that's been built sort of into the frame, so that's nice. That's not going to get damaged. And then going on to the top of the frame itself, we've got the motors, which were, as mentioned earlier, probably too high for a 3S, but we're going to try it out anyway. These are 78,000 kV, 7800 kV, 1103s. So yeah, I'm not sure if they do upgraded motors on the 130 model, the 130mm model, but you'll have to leave a comment, or if you've got that, or just go check out on the website. I'll leave a link to both sizes of these in the description below. Up front, of course, we've got the camera. This is 800 TVL and 150 degree field of view, so that's going to give us quite a nice wide angle as well on there. And 800 TVL is very good for a quad of this size. You know, usually we're getting about 500-600, so hopefully we're going to have a nice clear image on there. Now, this little bit poking out here, this little whip antenna, this is for the VTX, which you will be able to see under here. There is a button at the top here. I'll zoom in so that you can change your frequency. And like I mentioned earlier, it comes with a little, that little yellow chart that tells you what the LEDs here are every time you press the button on there. Now, this is a 25 or 100 milliwatt 16 channel transmitter. So while it's not the full 40 or 48, which a lot of mini quads come with, it is switchable between 25 and 100 milliwatts, which is quite good, because in the UK we're limited to 25, but you can always go for 100 and get that extra power and get that extra transmission range as well. It says image transmission range from this on 100 milliwatts is about 600 to 800 meters. They're advertising it as, although I'll believe that when I see it. So yeah, we've got the VTX, the nice camera on here. We've got the stack underneath here. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is a Pico BLX board, so when you're flashing it, if you're going to update it, be sure to select Pico BLX in beta flight. And this is actually only an F3, not an F4 flight controller, so not the latest, but still quite good, and still probably pretty much standard for the next coming couple of months as well, so you're going to be okay on there. You'll see on top of that, well, underneath that actually, we've got the ESCs in here. This is a 4-in-1 ESC, as you'll be able to tell. We've got nothing on the arms. This is only rated as 10 amps. However, I will remind you that the KingKong 90 GT was also 10 amps, and that was probably one of the most insane mini quads I've ever flown. So this could pack quite a punch on 10 amps. This is BL Heli S, mind you, so it's nice and updated. We've also got multi-shot, one-shot, and even D-shot on there. We've also got our USB port, so we can go and connect to Betaflight, and that is pretty much that. We've got our JXT connector plug on here, which goes paired nicely with our battery, and yeah, I'll probably test it with a 3S in this video, just to see how it handles, because I'm kind of excited. I do like KingKong products. I try to get my hands on most of them when they come out, because they always are quite good. Even if they're not incredible, they're still pretty sturdy and still pretty nice to fly and worth having around. So that's just a quick overview of the quad itself. Now we're going to go ahead, give it a test flight and see how it handles. Okay, so here's some line of sight footage, and to be honest, this isn't bad. It feels a little bit sloppy and a little bit sort of lacking in power just running on this 2S battery, but it can still handle itself, and it is definitely suitable for indoors as well, because this isn't sort of totally untamable. It is nice to fly, and it feels good, but it does wobble about a little bit, so those stock PIDs do need changing a little bit. Now, here's the same place, same line of sight, but this time with a 3S, and you can tell it's got that little bit extra power, well, kind of a lot actually, and it does feel a lot more responsive on 3S. However, it does get quite hot. I wouldn't suggest running through 3S packs on this. Maybe do one at a time and wait for it to cool down, because it's advised that you shouldn't do 3S on this, and I'd probably take that advice as well, although it is definitely a lot of fun to do. So if you're going to ride 3S on this, make sure you wait for it to cool down in between flights. Now, the camera footage isn't that bad for an 800 TVL. I would have expected a little bit better, but the colors seem to be all there, and it doesn't seem to be too sharp, but it's definitely not lacking in detail. You can sort of make out what things are, so it's not completely abysmal. But saying that, this is a bit more 3S footage. You can tell it's just a lot more racy. However, this is when the sun is setting, and it's definitely a lot darker. It's a lot harder to tell what things are, and the image gets washed out quite a lot when you turn into the sun. So advice for this, on the camera at least, do not fly sort of in low light conditions, because it's not going to be very visible. Make sure the sun's up nice and high and you've got quite a bright, clear, sunny day. Anyway, it's pretty good. I enjoyed this. Definitely enjoyed it a lot more on 3S. However, if you're going to go for this and want it on 3S, I'd probably suggest some of the other mini quads I've recently reviewed, because they're probably going to be a little bit better and not have the risk of getting damaged on 3S. But for flying around the house or around the park, this is definitely a good choice. And it's still pretty good on 2S as well. So don't be afraid to get this if you want to have a little bash about around the park. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace out.